What's up, guys? Welcome to another Skiff Wanderer tips and tricks video. This video today is going to be geared a lot more towards the guys that are newer to fly fishing. However, if you've been doing it for a long time, I hope that you stick around, you listen, and you provide some feedback so that we can all get some more knowledge. Today, I'm going to be talking about stretching out your fly lines, why you should do it, and then some of the ways that I myself go about stretching those fly lines out. And you should definitely stick around to the end of this video because I'm doing a giveaway. All right, let's get into it. I think that this is a subject that doesn't often get talked about inside the fly fishing community. So a lot of times when you're new to fly fishing, it's not something you hear about right off the bat. I know when I really started getting into fly fishing, I never even had heard about doing this with a brand new fly line. I'd heard some stuff about how to store fly lines once you had them, but really never heard anything about stretching out a fly line. Basically, all fly lines are gonna have a little bit of memory into them, and that's basically their tendency to hold the shape of whatever they've been wrapped around, whether it's the spool in the box or your reel. So what we wanna try to do is eliminate that right off the bat. Most manufacturers do a great job of trying to get as much memory out of their lines as they're making them, but in the end, it's still gonna be there. When you get a brand new fly line out of the box, you really don't know how long it's been sitting on that spool, and those brand new lines tend to have a lot of memory. I don't know if you've ever tried to throw one right on a reel and go fishing with it. You've probably noticed you end up with a mess. You end up with a curled up, kinked up, frustrating time on the water. And then also, if you're leaving them in your house where maybe it's your 12 weight that you only get to use a few times a year, and you leave that line on the spool and it sits in your house till it's time to go, like, it's gonna start building up a lot of memory as well. Now, that being said, there are ways you can store your fly lines to help eliminate a lot of that memory, especially if you know it's gonna be put away for a long term. But I'm gonna save that for a completely different video. The reason we wanna stretch out these fly lines is, like I said, it can lead to some gigantic messes on the boat. It can lead to some real frustration on the boat. And that's why it's important to take the time to do this before you get on the water. However, one of these methods I'm gonna go into, you can 100%, I've done it, you can 100% do it while you're out on the water. I'm gonna cover two different methods that I use to stretch out fly lines. One of them, definitely gotta do it at the house. The other one is more something that you can do pretty much just about anywhere. And if you guys have any comments as to how you stretch out a fly line, please leave them in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, please hit like and hit subscribe. Really helps the channel out. And trust me, if you're leaving those comments, it will be worth it, especially when I start talking about the giveaway I'm gonna do. All right, so I recently changed out my 10 weight line. I put on this MONIC Phantom Tip tarpon line. It's a 10 weight line, weight forward floating line. Awesome line. I put it on there. I was headed down to Florida to go chase tarpon, and before I left, I wanted to get this fly line stretched out. So I'm gonna go into the first method and how I stretch this line out. For the first method, I use my Skiff. It's parked in the garage. It's out of any kind of sun. It's well protected there in my garage. I use my Skiff. However, if you don't have a Skiff, or say your Skiff's outside and you don't want to leave a fly line laying around outside, you can pretty much use anything that's going to allow you to lay that fly line out in large loops and have a little bit of tension on it. The big thing though is you don't want to use anything that has sharp 90-degree edges, as that can cut your fly line or put really bad kinks into your fly line. Because essentially what we're going to try to do is change the memory. The fly line is still going to have memory, so we want to change it to where it memorizes more of a straighter form than the form it has when it's on a reel or on a spool in a box. So the big thing you want to do is, if you're using something, try to find things that are cylindrical shaped. So with the Skiff, I'll end up basically running the fly line around the outer edges of the Skiff. I'm gonna start with the poling platform, and here I'll take a piece of butcher twine and I'll run it through the welded loop that I'm eventually gonna tie a leader onto. And then I'll tie it off with a simple square knot. This is gonna set up my anchor point. All right, once I've got my anchor point set, I'm gonna run the fly line underneath the casting platform, just using the back 2 legs. And then I'm gonna run it around the outside of the grab bar that I have on my skiff. And then I'm gonna run it back underneath the poling platform. I'm gonna basically do this until I pull the entire fly line off the reel. For my skiff, it typically takes about three wraps around the entire skiff. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm not trying to put a ton of tension on the fly line. I'm basically letting the natural pulling motion of me moving that around to put tension on it. We're not trying to make a musical instrument out of our fly line on the skiff. We don't need it that tight. If you make it that tight, you could run into issues with putting new memory spots in bad places on your fly line. So you just want a little bit of tension, not too much. Now, once I've got the whole fly line run out, I just leave it overnight, come in the next day, reel it up, and it's good to go. You don't want to leave it on there for too long because, again, we're trying to straighten this out. And if you leave it on there for too long, your fly line is going to start picking up a new memory form. So definitely make sure this is something that you can go back to the next morning and pick that fly line back up. All right, the second method that I use, you can do just about anywhere. I've done it on flats. I've done it in boat ramp parking lots. You can do it at a campsite. You can do it in your driveway. I typically end up doing this with another person, but you could definitely take and tie off an anchor point somewhere. And that's essentially, once you have that anchor point, whether it's just your fly line side off or it's another person, you're just gonna walk the whole fly line out in a straight line. Once you've got that whole fly line off the reel, what you basically do is you just start pulling on it, give it a couple really good pulls to try to put some tension onto it. It's a good idea to put some tension on and hold it for a few seconds. And this too will do a great job of stretching out your fly line. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, Pete, why don't we just do the second method and not mess with like wrapping it around something? Honestly, I'll use that first method more often with brand new fly lines, where I want them to have a little bit of time under a little bit of tension to straighten themselves out. The second method I use more with fly lines that have sat on reels for a little bit longer to stretch them out. I've done it with new fly lines. It works with new fly lines. It's all just time, whatever time you have and whatever preference, whatever method you prefer. I think they're both great options, and I can tell you that they both work fantastically. Hopefully that puts some really good ideas in your head on stretching out your fly lines. And like I said earlier, if you have any other methods you like to use, leave them in the comment section down below. Now, time to talk about a giveaway. So I'm gonna be giving away a MONIC Saltwater Master 8-weight bonefish taper line. Personally, I absolutely love using bonefish tapers when I'm chasing redfish. This is the exact same line that I have on my 8-weight setup. If you haven't messed with MONIC lines, I think that they're fantastic. I wish I saw them more out on the water. I really like how they feel. I really like how they shoot. I just, honestly, everything, as I've started using them, I can tell you that they have not failed me. They have not let me down, and I absolutely love them. So how do you enter? To enter, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you like this video, and then just leave a comment down below. Simple as that. What I'm gonna do to announce the winner is on Monday, February 21st at 7 p.m. Central Time, I'm gonna do a live question and answer session on YouTube. So you'll have to go over to the YouTube page and you'll see that I'm live. Tune in. I'm gonna do whatever questions you guys have for me, I'll answer them. So come in, have some questions, grab a beer. I know it's Monday, but we're talking about fly fishing, so I think that's acceptable. I'm pretty sure that's acceptable. And then during that session, I'm gonna announce the fly line winner who I'm gonna be sending it to. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and I will hopefully see all of you guys at the live session on Monday.